doesn't make it less real. In fact, it should make voters more concerned about what else Trump and his allies are hiding. Project 2025 is on the ballot because Donald Trump is on the ballot. This is his agenda, written by his allies for Donald Trump to inflict on our country. And that is where we start this hour with our writer and editor for Project Democracy, Amanda Carpenter, plus President and CEO of Democracy Forward, Skye Perryman, and MSNBC columnist and contributor Charlie Sykes. Amanda, you captured the moment in a great post that you put on social media when this story broke. It reads, so the Trump campaign is saying it is not connected to Project 2025, but got the director of Project 2025 fired because of the blowback it is having on his campaign. Gotcha. Talk to about the mixed messaging here that they're trying to push out.
Yeah, no coordination there. I mean, here's the thing, and Michael, we've had talks about this, and I've always directed people to look at Donald Trump's own campaign promises and his own words about what he wants to enact for his agenda, because the reality in plain truth is that Project 2025 wasn't a document to program Trump. It was a document designed to make Trump's wildest rhetoric a reality for us all. It was the policy prescription to make his own campaign promises true. I mean, this whole project came about because there was a recognition among a lot of Trump staffers who went to the Heritage Foundation that his first term, they didn't really get all that they wanted. And so they had to construct this policy document to get everyone on the same page about how the second term will go better, right? They spun up this narrative about the deep state to blame and said, we're going to coordinate everyone so that the next time around, if Donald Trump gets in power, we will have the manpower ready to go on day one to assist him. Okay. And so you look department by department and the plans that they have, which are wild. There's 900 pages. We've all been through it. We've talked about it extensively. But the thing that underpins it all, right, the thing that Donald Trump cannot get away from is that he wants an authoritarian, expansionist control of the federal government to enact his political agenda using every means of leverage possible that he can obtain through the Oval Office. That is what the Heritage document and the plan was designed to help him do with these policy prescriptions, to do that agency by agency by agency. So he can sack the director of Project 2025, but he can't distance himself from his own campaign promises, the ways that he's threatened to weaponize the federal government, to abuse the Insurrection Act and the Alien Enemies Act, to engage in mass deportations and all the rest. Those are from his own mouth.
And Charlie, that's the rub in all of this. You know, you can say what you want about all of this. The breakdown of Project 2025 does give us some insight into the former president's thinking. What do you make of that and the timing of all of this in light of, I don't know, Kamala Harris coming to the foreground as a presidential nominee?
Well, this is awfully interesting. I mean, Amanda once wrote a book about gaslighting, and it's interesting how aggressively the Trump campaign is gaslighting because, of course, Project 2025 is a governing blueprint. It is not just a roadmap, but it is also, part of the Trump 2.0 effort to have the loyalists in office. But, on one level, this is we talk about bad messaging a lot. Clearly, what the Trump campaign is responding to is the fact that the critiques of Project and the warnings about Project 2025 have broken through. They're getting feedback on this. They realize that voters in swing states are actually saying, "What is in that? What is in that document?" Now, I'm not that surprised that Donald Trump would try to distance himself from this. He's never read a 900-page book in his life, and he doesn't want to be held to it. And even though he fully intends to implement many of the things in that book, he doesn't want anyone else to get credit for it, right? It's like, because he alone can come up with these great ideas. But I don't think that anybody should be fooled. This project, I think, is an indication of just how serious MAGA is about Trump 2.0. And so even though Donald Trump is never going to read that 900-page book, I think we all ought to be very grateful that Amanda and her colleagues have broken it down and raised the red flags that this is what's coming. It's not Trump 1.0 again. It is going to be far more aggressive. And
that, Sky, is the bottom line. You, like Amanda, have been covering this, studying this project 2025 in depth. Talk to us a little bit about how even if the project, is gone, it's gone, the means for the plan, the effect of the plans and what the plan is about is not going away. It's still game on.
That's right, Michael. I mean, they can run, but you can't hide from the extremism that we see in this plan, but also in what we saw in the prior administration. Our organization at Democracy Forward, we had to take the prior administration to court on a number of the issues that are in Project 2025. Personnel is policy, and the folks that are behind this project are still active in a variety of the networks that are seeking to back this far-right agenda. I think the demonization of rhetoric of immigrants, of LGBTQ people, demonizing librarians and teachers across the country. This is all what this project does, seeking to ban medication abortion. I've not seen anybody in the MAGA base come out and distance themselves from those actual policy proposals, even if they're trying to run from the brand of Project 2025.
And Amanda, that's the thing for me. We get the politics here. We know what's happening. Okay. Oh, guess what? We're not doing that. No, that's never. We're distanced. We're not even. Come on, seriously? I mean, you have a post here from Jonathan Swan of the New York Times. It says, quote, Project 2025 has become inconvenient for the Trump campaign, but it has produced nearly all of the policy it was ever going to and owns the central personnel database in the conservative movement. Trump doesn't yet have a functioning transition team and will likely need its resources. In addition to the policy, there was vetting of Trump loyalists. That stuff is not going away. You can tear up the paperwork. You can fire people, Amanda. The fact of it is, this is your plan. This is what you're going to do, because everything that you need to start your administration is out of that plan, is built into that plan.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the Heritage Foundation was ready to provide the army to work for Donald Trump. And I don't see that they're going to get any other people to serve a second Trump 2.0 administration. But OK, let's put that aside. If he thinks Project 2025 is bad, what does he actually think of the vice president that he selected, J.D. Vance? Because J.D. Vance is the Project 2025 VP. I mean, if you think what was written in the introduction of the Project 2025 document was a little too hot on the rhetoric, that is nothing compared to the podcasts that J.D. Vance has been doing for his Senate career about childless cat ladies and all the rest. And so, okay, let's pretend that you can somehow wave a magic wand and make that go away. J.D. Vance is on your ticket, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
He's not, Charlie. They're stuck together. And as we've heard in the statement from the Harris campaign, certainly the campaign manager, Democrats are not going to stop either. They're not stopping talking about this. What do you make of that? Is that a good strategy, or should they just sort of buy what Trump is trying to sell?
No, I think that keep talking about it, keep leaning into this. I don't know, Michael. I sort of am increasingly beginning to suspect maybe they didn't vet J.D. Vance because it seems there's always an email, there's always a text, there's always a podcast where he doubles down on how weird he is. But I agree with Amanda that despite all the talk about that he might drop him from the ticket, I think that Donald Trump's going to have to carry J.D. Vance to full term. I don't think he has any choice here, and so he is stuck with him. And the fact is that for all of the crazy rhetoric that you might see in that 900-page book that Donald Trump is never going to read, Amanda's point is exactly right. It pales next to what J.D. Vance has said, and that we're going to find out that he said over and over and over again. These are not one-time gaffes. These are not things that he just tossed off in a bad moment. This is who he is. This is the way his mind operates. And now he's got this huge Klieg light shown on him. So
right.
In many ways, what's really amazing, I mean, you and I were there at the Republican convention. It's hard for me to imagine a worse rollout for J.D. Vance, and it's hard for me to imagine a stronger rollout for Kamala Harris. How the world has changed since you and I had a beer in Milwaukee.
I'd tell you, dude, yeah, that's a good beer, too, by the way, particularly given how things have played out. So, Sky, I need you to do me a favor and talk to us about what we're hearing as the clear messaging right now coming from Democrats. They're talking about the weirdness of J.D. Vance. They're talking about the harmful impact of Project 2025. How has this messaging landed with voters? And even if you see some peeling back, sort of maybe tucking J.D. off in a corner for a little while to let the messaging cool down around him, now sort of repealing their love for Project 2025, has this so far stuck with voters and that bell can't get unrung for them with respect to these two pieces of the Trump campaign?
Well, we know that voters are highly concerned about the extremism and that the American people, and we see this in ballot initiatives, we've seen this in elections since Dobbs, that the American people just fundamentally reject this extremism. There is no mandate for a MAGA reality where we are penalizing civil servants, where we're seeking to make our air less safe, banning medication that people need. There's just no mandate for it. And so I do think you see this resonating particularly with Gen Z voters, but with voters across the realm of communities, which is why they're seeking to run from this brand. But the important thing is we know extremism when we see it. We saw it in the prior administration. It has been rebuked election after election, and I think that's what you'll see here.
So, Amanda, the more the Trump team sort of try to talk us out of believing that they're trying to set up an autocratic government, the more they stumble into confirming that's exactly what the plan is. Trump made a comment on Friday about Christians not having to vote after this year, and he was asked about it last night on Fox. Let's take a listen to how he responded.
I said, vote for me. You're not going to have to do it ever again. It's true. Because we have to get the vote out. Christians are not known as a big voting group. They don't vote. And I'm explaining that to them. You never vote. This time, vote. I'll straighten out the country. You won't have to vote anymore. I won't need your vote.
It's being interpreted, as you are not surprised to hear, by the left as, well, they're never going to have another election. He's saying there's not. So,
first time I've even heard.
Can you even just respond?
Don't worry about the future. You have to vote on November 5th. After that, you don't have to worry about voting anymore. I don't care, because we're going to fix it. The country will be fixed, and we won't even need your vote anymore, because, frankly, we will have such love. If you don't want to vote anymore, that's okay.
I hear a lot of autocracy alarm bells going off there. What do you hear?
Yeah, well, I see a lot of people say, well, he didn't really mean it, but I just want to ask your viewers, does he deserve to have a charitable interpretation of those comments, given his track record, starting with challenging the 2020 election, inciting an insurrection, calling for the termination of a constitution because of alleged fraud that he claimed in that election, joking about being a dictator on day one, saying how great it is that President Xi was in office for life. I mean, he repeatedly flirts with this idea. And I don't think that is a coincidence. Like, this idea is on his brain. And, you know, I think the selection of J.D. Vance is also an important data point when it comes to this, and the fact that J.D. Vance is there as a vice presidential candidate, not